My name is Kevin Wilson. I'm the designer of Kinfire Council, and I'm head of game design at Incredible Dream Studios. Just to introduce myself real quick, I've been designing board and card games and role-playing games for about almost 25 years now. You may have seen some of my games out there. I worked on Arkham Horror, Descent, Journeys in the Dark, Android, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Batman Changes Constant. I've done a lot of games over the years, and most recently I've been working on the Kinfire games, Kinfire Chronicles, Kinfire Delve, and now Kinfire Council. And I'm kind of excited to talk to y'all about what you can look forward to with Kinfire Council and kind of describe the process a little bit. The idea for Kinfire Council first came when we were working on Kinfire Chronicles, and the art team turned in the map for the city of Dinlux. And it was such a beautiful map, just gorgeous, huge levels of detail, just way beyond what I had ever hoped for. And I'd put a lot of time and effort into kind of designing the city itself, imagining it up. And I had this idea in my head, as there's a Chuck Jones quote that says something along the lines of, I don't want realistic, I want believable. And that's kind of what I was shooting for with the City of Deluxe, is not so much realistic as believable, an interesting place to have adventures in and to kind of serve as your home base when you're going out into the wild. And there was enough there. There was so much interesting things going on in Deluxe ultimately that I thought, this would be a great place to set a game, and we should make a game that focuses on the city itself. And we had these characters in Chronicles that were the city councilors that were kind of directing you, giving you missions to send you out to go do things. And I thought it would be great to do a game that was kind of from their point of view. So in Council, you play as the city councilors, the heads of the city, and you actually send out the seekers among other workers to go kind of do your bidding. So it's kind of funny. You get to boss around your old characters, kind of. The design process on Kinfire Council has been hectic but good. We've gone through a lot of iterations on the game in the good way. Finding issues but smoothing them out as we go. It's one of the things that makes game design challenging and fun, interesting, is kind of seeing how many different problems you can solve with a single solution, and just not settling for the first idea you have a lot of times. Just kind of digging deeper, trying to keep pushing it, make it better and better, and just trying to make the very best design you can make. And I've really tried my best to bring Dinlux to life in this game and to create a unique worker placement game that does some things that haven't been done before in the genre, that really feels and exciting and replayable as much as anything. So what's different about Kinfire Council from the previous two Kinfire games? That's in this case, this is our first competitive game in the line. It's kind of more of a Euro style worker placement game, but with some interesting twists on the standard. There are the Cult of Altan serves as enemy workers, and they present threats to the city, and they block your spaces. So the board evolves each round. You never know which exactly spaces are going to be available to you, and so you have to react to that. There's a lot of having to adapt to what's going on in the game. You can't just make a strategy and 100% stick to it, because there's things that are happening, and the city things are happening. People want things from you. Threats are building up outside the city. All these politics are happening, and you have to kind of stay a bit flexible on your feet to kind of deal with it all. And that was one of the goals. I wanted the city to kind of feel alive as you're playing the game, and for you to really feel the whole, heavy is the head that wears the crown kind of feeling, that, all these things are happening and you're trying to meet all these needs and you can't do everything. And it's just, but in the fun way, like just trying to spin all these plates and make everything come together, and keep the city safe, keep everybody happy. It was just kind of one of the things I really wanted to like emphasize in the game. And even though this is a competitive game, I'm also doing a cooperative variant, solo cooperative variant, really, that's going to be in the Winds of Change expansion, so that our classic audience, our Kinfire loyal crowd, can also play it solo or co-op if that happens to be the way they prefer to game. I got some fun ideas there that we're working on, so I think that'll be pretty cool. So, what do I think are some of the niftier bits of Kinfire Council? Um, I would say that there's a lot of theme in this one. Try to build the world in kind of from the ground up. You're building the Kinfire lighthouses, which, if you followed the Kinfire setting at all, you'll know that's like a big deal. And this game follows the events that took place at the end of Kinfire Chronicles, Night's Fall, and I'm not going to spoil that, and the game doesn't spoil that either. But like, there are references to it, and it sort of sets up for where the game goes next. And so you're building these lighthouses, and you're also trying to keep the city needs met. And so, like I said, there's a bit of that plate spinning, which is interesting. There's also something that's unusual in worker placement games is having worker skills that you can train your workers in, kind of like upgradable workers, effectively. So there's like 6 different skills that you can train your workers in, and you can go real deep on one of those skills, or you could, get a smattering of different skills for your workers, or you could choose to ignore them entirely and just, focus on getting resources and stuff. But it's fun because you can kind of experiment with different paths, different strategies, and different player powers almost. Um, Another thing that's kind of fun is that during setup, you randomly pair up each of the counselors with one of the seekers from Chronicles and Delve. And so this sort of creates unique power combinations that the players draft from. And so some of the powers have a little bit more synergy than others potentially, but they're all kind of interesting challenges to play, different styles. I don't remember how many specific combos there were on setup, but it was a lot, and I thought that was very cool. Another thing that I think is very interesting are the political elements of the game. We have a voting system, and again, a lot of the game design was inspired by kind of looking at real world city council meetings and what do city councils do and how do they run the cities and everything. And one of the things is, passing legislation, balancing budgets, that kind of thing. And so I thought about like how do I make that actually, fun and interesting in a game sense. And I wanted to uh, do a voting system where you're voting laws or orders into effect, and some of those things are temporary. They're one and done. Others are new rules that take effect for the rest of the game. Some are crises that you have to address or something that happens, and I thought that was a very interesting spin. And of course, I always like having game elements where the amount of attention you need to pay to them is kind of variable by the situation. So you're always having to evaluate what's important to you at any given time. Um, I would also say that the cult is kind of a very interesting feature to the game. The Cult of Altan has enemy workers that come out onto the board and block spaces. You can go arrest them, or you can leave them out to fester. They cause threats to pop up that attack the cities. And at the end of the game, there are some hidden threats that are revealed that give the cult one last burst of points. And if the cult wins the game, then in that case, the player who has kind of cozied up to the cult the most, the conspirator player, is actually the winner of the game. Of course, if no one has cozied up to the cult at all, well, nobody wins except for the cult. So, make sure you've make sure if you're not sure about it, you hedge your bets a little bit. So yeah, there's a lot to dig into in Kinfire Council. There's a lot of paths to victory, a lot of different strategies you can take, uh, a lot of different events that can pop up during the game that are going to change it. Just a ton of game variety is what I've tried to build into the game as much as anything. That's one of my favorite things in game design is just building a game that doesn't play the same way twice. So my thanks to any of our backers. I really appreciate any support you can show us, and I also appreciate it if you could share the project out to your friends, talk us up a little bit, just show other people, that there's something cool to get excited about here. We've worked hard on this game. We've worked hard on the world setting, the world of Kinfire, and I think we've got something special, and I want to share it with everybody. Ultimately, well, that's all I have for now. Thank you, everyone, so much for your time. I really appreciate you looking at our project. Hope you back it. Hope you look at the other Kinfire games and follow along with us. Excited to have you along for the journey.